Escaping the daily friction of working-class poverty depends on reaching a specific volume of capital, $20,000. This is the tipping point where the physics of money begin to shift, allowing an individual to counteract the gravity of the survival cycle. We call this financial gravity. When a household operates near a zero balance, the brain remains locked in a high cortisol survival mode. Constant scarcity consumes the mental bandwidth required for long-term planning, forcing the mind to focus exclusively on immediate crises. This diagram illustrates the high cost of a low balance. Lacking a cash buffer forces expensive choices: bank maintenance fees for low balances, penalties for late rent, and the use of high-interest credit for basic necessities. Without capital, you are also forced to buy low-quality goods that require frequent replacement, creating a cycle of recurring costs. This chart contrasts that friction with the experience of a stable balance. An account with a buffer avoids these systemic drags. Fees are waived, bills are automated, and durable goods are purchased once rather than replaced annually. The financial system actively extracts value from the account on the left while preserving it for the account on the right. Operating without a safety net requires expending all of your cognitive and financial energy just to maintain your current position. Standard Wall Street advice suggests that anyone can invest their way to wealth by starting with spare change. But for a household without a core of capital, the math of small-scale investing is insufficient to create a way out. Consider this bar chart. A high-performing 10% return on a $1,000 principal yields exactly $100 over an entire year. Compared to the cost of rent, utilities, or a basic car repair, this return does not change the user's daily reality. In practice, this $100 gain is typically swallowed by a single life emergency before it has the chance to compound. The portfolio is reset to zero, and the investor remains in a reactive state. Compound interest requires a critical mass to become effective. An investor must first build a dense core of capital before market returns can mathematically influence their quality of life. At $20,000, financial physics begin to work in your favor. For many households, this amount represents 3 to 6 months of living expenses, creating the escape velocity required to move past reactive decision-making. The primary shift is the reduction of daily stress. A $500 car repair is no longer a catastrophe that threatens your housing. It is an inconvenience handled by the buffer. This space allows the brain to transition from survival to strategy. The math of momentum changes. A $20,000 base at 10% generates $2,000, covering a month's rent and decoupling survival from labor. This timeline shows the path accelerating. The first $20,000 takes intense saving, but the next arrives faster as capital compounds. This buffer functions as walking away money. It provides leverage to negotiate higher pay or leave a toxic work environment, knowing you have months of security to find a better fit.
$20,000 shifts your posture from playing defense against every bill to playing offense with your career and investment choices. We can track this progression in the early career of Warren Buffett. Before he was a billionaire, he spent years methodically building his own core of escape velocity. At age 14, Buffett was focused on reliable cash flow. He spent his mornings delivering newspapers, accumulating small amounts of capital through repetitive, manual discipline. He scaled this income by purchasing used pinball machines for $25 each. By placing them in local barbershops, he turned active labor into passive cash flow, reinvesting every cent back into the business. By age 21, these micro-ventures built his critical mass. He graduated with roughly $20,000 in liquidity, a significant sum in the early 1950s. This buffer allowed him to make a high-conviction move. With his basic survival secure, he felt the psychological safety to deploy 65% of his net worth into a single stock, Geico. Buffett's early success relied on a psychological foundation. Securing his survival threshold early granted him the clarity to execute massive, calculated risks. Reaching $20,000 is often the most dangerous moment in an investor's journey. It is the point where the feeling of relief can easily lead to self-sabotage. This is the great filter. Many people reach this milestone, feel the pressure of poverty lift, and immediately spend their core capital on depreciating luxury goods. This choice shatters the financial stability they spent years building.
This diagram compares two paths for that $20,000. On the left, it compounds over 2 decades into $200,000. On the right, it is used as a down payment for a car. The asset loses 20% of its value immediately, and the owner is left with monthly interest payments that drain their future earnings. This single decision erases the psychological buffer. The ability to take career risks disappears, and the individual is forced back into a reactive, high-stress state. Liquidating your critical mass trades long-term freedom for a temporary appearance of success. To maintain momentum, that $20,000 must be structured as a system that protects itself from both emergencies and temptation. Half of the capital serves as the bulletproof vest. These are liquid cash reserves kept in a high-yield account. This money is not for spending. Its only purpose is to absorb life's shocks and prevent you from feeling panic. The remaining half acts as the soldiers. This capital is deployed into diversified index funds, where it works autonomously to capture long-term market growth, while you focus on increasing your income. Locking this system in place marks a transition toward long-term design. You are now operating as an investor, using capital to shape your own life, rather than reacting to the demands of the world. This first $20,000 is the seed of your future independence. Reaching it is the exact moment money stops being the master of your time and becomes your most powerful tool.